Dried ghasts are cute and all, but am I the only one who wishes they were edible? Now you might be thinking, Corn, why would you want to eat a dried ghastling? That's weird. And to that I say, I don't know, but there's just something about it. There's something about it. I don't know. It's in the design. It looks nominable. It looks like I should be allowed to eat it, and I'm not. And I don't know why Mojang won't let us. Just, come on. Just let us eat it. In other news, in, I guess, the most obvious of news, Arcadia is on 1.21.7 now, and with it come the dried ghasts, and the ghastlings, and the flying ghast, and the happy ghast, and they're all the same thing, and you might be thinking, Corn, why aren't you making a happy ghast right now? Because you can fly on them, you know, you can fly on them with friends. And to that I say, have you forgotten the cardinal rule of this channel? Corn does not fly. No. Even if the happy ghast isn't technically counted as flying, the cornsoul is still out on it. So yeah, no flying for me, no happy ghasts for me. All I've got is a dried ghast, and I want to eat it. I do. But ignoring all the things in the update that I cannot use, it's time to update something I can use. My armor, which has thorns, which is super inconvenient when you're trying to move hostile mobs into the underground. So it's about time that changes. First of all, to something without thorns, so none of my residents die on the trip. And second of all, to something a little bit heftier. I am a person who enjoys a good resource grind. I like the act of just sort of working towards something, and a lot of times in my free time on the server, if I don't have anything to do, or if I have something I'm procrastinating, I'll just go netherite mining, because, like, why not? It's fun, it's rewarding, and if you keep doing it for long enough, you might actually end up with a whole stack of ancient debris. And all that netherite will more than cover a full set of tools and armor, and it'll be new armor, because it'll be armor without thorns, which will start out with me trading from my villagers because I've got an armor, and then just disenchanting it, and then robbing the bookshop, which is why it's really convenient that I co-own the bookshop, and just enchanting everything up, spending so much time with Humble's whack the armadillo machine to get all of the XP needed, and then just putting it all together. And voila, full netherite, literally all my tools, and, I have enough left over to almost make a netherite block. I can make 2 sets of backup armor if I want to. I don't really, this is like my final set of armor. But anyway, we're not stopping here. This full netherite, it's epic. It's what I'm looking for. But we're just missing one last thing. I put up a poll about whether or not I should turn my armor invisible, and you guys responded that it should be invisible. So let's do that, shall we? Now, fun fact, I actually made a tactical error at turning my armor invisible at this part of the process, because I should have done it much sooner. And you might be thinking, Corn, why? And it's because, to turn your armor invisible, you have to name it in an anvil with the ID of the new model, of the invisible model. Okay, makes sense. And then you trigger it with a command, and it makes your armor invisible. Very neat. However, I had just spent all of this time enchanting my armor, and naming my armor cool things that I wanted, like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, because it's a vibe, and I'm here for it. And then I had to rename everything to the invisible ID, turn it all invisible, and then rename it back. So it was just so much experience. At this point, I've spent so much time at Humble's beginning experience farm from the start of the season that I feel like I should be paying him rent, but like, whatever, I guess. We do it for the invisible armor. And ta-da! Invisible armor. Now you might be like, Corn, what's the proof that you're not wearing armor right now? And to that I say, behold, my head, shoulders, knees, and toes. It's invisible armor, and it's here to stay. And now, with our newly invisible, no thorns armor, it's time to tackle the underworld again. Last episode, we finished this door, Unsavory, complete with putting Tantalus in here, and as you can see, Tantalus is holding nothing in his hands. Now, given that I've already explained about invisible stuff today, like with invisible armor, I assume you can only assume that I just replaced what he was holding last time, which was rotten flesh, with some kind of invisible thing. Because, I mean, I hated doing it last time, and who in their right mind would go back and do something they hated all over again, just because it's not exactly the way they wanted it to be? I mean, last episode, I even said I was choosing the easy way, so why would I go back and do it again? Why would I? Why on earth would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know who would do that. For getting away from that frankly unimaginable act, I do regret to inform you that in the update, the original Tantalus, was retired. It's okay though, because he'll stay in Unsavory until he's purchased as rotten flesh. We're cool. And speaking of Unsavory, now Unsavory also happens to be the first stop of our little update tour, because I really think that dried gas should be edible. I mean, look at them. Doesn't this just, like, it kind of looks like a seal, but it's more than that. It should be edible. So why not stock it in Unsavory? This is totally a place where people go for food, and food that is definitely all sorts of good and not in any way suspicious, so the dried gas will be right at home here. And voila! The dried ghast is now up for sale and unsavory, because it should be edible, gosh darn it. Now the next of the small little updates we're doing to the underworld is right here, because back when I was designing the pawn shop, I thought having like a little enchanted golden apple stall right by the side of the pawn shop was neat, because you could sort of imagine that they were taking some of the gold in the pawn shop and making the enchanted golden apples, even though there's not a way to craft enchanted golden apples anymore, and there hasn't been for a while. But, as you can see, I never actually ended up finishing it. I just put sort of the stall out here and did not detail it. So, for this update, we're going to actually detail it and make it another small shop, even if it's only a stall on the side. That's maybe a little bit suspicious. And with a bit of work and 12 armor stands, the stall is all detailed out. I know I didn't talk through this or plan it at all, but sometimes with something as small as this, that's just kind of how it goes. You just try things until you like it. And so I tried things, and now I like it. I've been using the sort of idea of a composter as a barrel. Like, I know it doesn't look like a barrel, but it looks sort of like a different kind of barrel, an open barrel, and I shoved a bunch of golden apples in there. And I couldn't figure out a way to make them look enchanted. I just went with golden apple heads, but this is selling enchanted golden apples, and then the barrel is where the actual stock is. I happen to have quite a few enchanted golden apples because, as I said, I enjoy a resource grind, and I have resource grinded not only for netherite, but also for, enchanted golden apples, all sorts of random things. So I've got some to sell, although I am charging 1 netherite each for them for a couple of reasons. First of all, one of the rules I have for the underworld is that it does not use the diamond standard, because I mean, come on, it's just so much more fun and on brand to use anything but that. I have some plans to have areas that sell things for things people might consider as useless, but I also want to, legitimately appreciate value. So the gold standard is going to be pretty strong down here, and then netherite for things that are pretty valuable that you would actually pay a lot of diamonds for, like, say, an enchanted golden apple. So I think that makes sense. Is it maybe a bit expensive? Yes, but it's also the underworld. Of course it's going to be expensive. It's hard to find stuff down here, and it's a little weird, and like all of that stuff. But yeah, that's this stall all detailed up, and I feel pretty good about it. Now, the episode has been a little bit all over the place, and I admit that. I admit that freely. It has been a little all over the place. I've just been updating small things here and there, and I'm making a joke out of the word update because, we updated, and all sorts of stuff. And there's just one little update left. One thing I need to update, and that's my skin. Because if I'm doing invisible armor, then I am going to look cooler than overalls. Not to say that overalls aren't cool, I just think I deserve, something a little bit special for, the entire underworld. And yes, it's going to be a skin that you only see when I'm in the underworld, so I'll have to be logging in and out a lot, and it's going to be kind of annoying. But it's worth it, because I love me a good costume change, so if you'll excuse me. And it's just a wee bit fancier.